In a previous video, I showed you how to install shared parameters into your project. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a shared parameter file and some methods for naming conventions and organizing those shared parameter groups. So let's go take a look. If you're watching this video, I have to assume that you are at a point in your understanding of Revit that you want to create loadable families. And when you create loadable families, one of the processes you'll be performing will be creating your own custom parameters for those families. So what are custom parameters and why are they necessary? Well, one of the reasons is typically you create a parameter when there isn't one that's out of the box from Revit. And the other one is it may be a parameter that's unique to the object that you're creating and you want to be able to schedule it. So in this case, in the object that you're looking on screen, this is a casework family. I created it from the casework template. In fact, if I go to the types dialog box here, you're going to see in the family types dialog box there are already a number of parameters which are out of the box from Revit, which have already been created. In fact, since these are out of the box, these are system parameters, if I were to select that, the opportunity to remove that parameter from the remove button is not available to me. When I create my own custom parameters for, say, a family like this, I can either add or remove those parameters as I want. And again, when we have click on the add button to add more parameters, here's that shared parameters option in this parameters properties dialog box. And when I do that, one of the other things you'll see is that you can report parameters that are actually created out of the box. So let's go ahead and look at the parameters dialog box for a moment. You'll find this under the Manage tab, and in the Manage tab under the Settings panel there's going to be an option for selecting the Shared Parameters tool. This is the same process you would go whether you're in a family template or you're in a project file. I'm going to click on the Shared Parameters dialog box. The first thing that you'll notice is that there is not a shared parameters file, and we need to create that. So I'm going to select the Create button right here, and when I do, it takes me to this dialog box because it's looking for a location for that file. I would recommend to you that you put it in a location that's unique on your server or on your computer somewhere, because when you create updates or new versions of your software, you want to be able to get to that file each time. I'm going to click on my desktop because I've created a folder on the desktop called Sample Files, and you can see I've already started creating a shared parameter file. Well, in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and create a new one, and I'm going to call this one Shared Parameters File, and select Save. And now that I've done that, you'll see that there's that file name. In fact, if I click in that area, select the End button on my keyboard, it takes me to the end of the file name, and there it is, Shared Parameters File TXT. And again, this is a TXT file. It's a comma delimited file. Revit out of the box, if you were to open that file with a text editor at the very beginning of that file name or that file description, it would tell you not to edit that with a text editor, and something you should pay attention to. So now that I've created this shared parameters file, you'll notice that in this dialog box where it says groups, the new button is available to me, and I'm going to select that for a moment. I'm going to create a new parameter group. I'm going to type 01, and I'm going to turn on my cap locks and call this one length. Now the reason I use the numerical value 01 is Revit will sequentially organize all my parameters based on that number value. If I didn't do that, it would do it alphabetically. Well, since I want length to be my very first one, I want it to be at the top of the list, and I'm going to select OK. And when I do, you'll notice now that the new parameters button is available. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to create a new dimensional parameter, and I'm going to call this one column width. And this one I'm going to type out in camel case. And what that means is that for each one of the words, they're grouped together in one grouping, but the first letter of each word is capitalized, and in this case it's column and width. And it's a length parameter, so I don't need to change anything. I could add a tooltip if I wanted to, and you'll notice that it tells you can create tooltips that are up to 250 characters. I will tell you right now, if you create a tooltip that is that long, there's a good possibility that the end user will never read it. So this one I'm just going to say enter the column width dimension, and then just select OK, and then select OK again. So now in the parameters group length, I have a dimensional parameter called column width. I'm going to create one more new parameter. I'm going to make this one 02, and again all caps, and call it text. And just as I did before, I'm going to select the new button, and I'm going to call this one STC manufacturer's rating. And I'm going to make this a text parameter, and in the tooltip I'm just going to say enter STC value. You don't need the capital of the V, I just did. Just emphasize it. And select OK. And so now I have a text parameter. And the last one I'm going to create is going to be 03, and this is going to be a yes/no group. And so there we go. And in the yes/no group, I'll create a new parameter, and I'm going to call this one masking region on. And this is going to be a yes/no parameter, and select OK. So now I have these three parameter groups, and they're organized based on that numerical value. That's how it's sequentially organizing them. So there you go. That's creating a shared parameter file and creating shared parameter groups, and some suggestions on naming conventions.